welcome to episode 12, y'all. That's a big number. It just climbs. I'm super excited to have my guests on here today. I can't believe Scott and Ann Travis are going to be here with me today. I did a lot of praying about this episode, and I thought about my interaction with them at Lions Den Live and their story. And I'm like, who better to support me in this journey of talking about a family member or a friend that has an addiction. And this can be more than one addiction, whatever that may be. We are here to make you feel not alone. We are here to make you feel like you can have the ability to talk to somebody. You can reach out to us if you want to. And we want to give you the power to learn how to speak your truth and not be afraid to either talk to somebody or get help. And whoever out there is watching that is going through an addiction right now, you are not alone, and you have the choice to help yourself with everyone around you, reaching out to somebody. We are here for you. So let's introduce Scott and Ann. Thank you so much for being here. Obviously, I'm very nervous to talk about this. I do have a family member that has an addiction, and it has definitely put a lot on, our big family, and they have a similar story. So we want to open up with their story, and then we will talk about it.
Okay. Well, hello. How are you?
Hi guys. I'm good.
Good. Yeah, I'm glad that you reached out. Yeah, we had just like a brief little encounter at Lions Den Live, but I think it was pretty deep. I mean, because I try and, like, whenever I'm involved with someone or trying to do it, it's like my purpose is like to be completely present and to listen to what you want or what you have to say, so that I can add some value back to it, rather than just, everyone's out for little, small talk and surface level, but it's not about that, especially with the subject that you brought to me, and I know that I spoke about it on the stage, about the trials that we've been through for the past, multiple years. So yeah, I mean, we're open book. Ask away. We can tell you whatever you want.
Yeah. So first of all, what do you guys do? Let the audience know what you guys are all about.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, Scott is an artist, so that's how we make our living. We have a marriage podcast. We've been married for 36 years. So we share with other people hacks and ways to stay amicable, married, and draw closer. We also are involved. I'm heavily involved in prepping. Prepping is just preparing for disasters, things that are coming up. And so I have a Facebook group and things like that I do with the prepping. But today,
and then we have a marriage coaching group too.
Oh, so right, we have marriage coaching.
We really want to
help people.
Yeah, we're trying to surround ourselves, or trying to build marriages so that they last. It's such a throwaway society right now that there's no judgment if there's been divorces and any of that stuff. It's just the stuff that we've gone through, and especially talking about this subject. There's so many people. I know when we were going through, we'll kind of go into it. I know when we were going through finding out that our son was an addict, everyone has an opinion. Everyone is going to tell you, oh, well, you should do this, you should do that, but they don't understand that they're not living it. And right. I think you understand what I'm talking about. It's like when you're living it, anybody that's not living it, I don't want to hear what you have to say.
No, absolutely not.
I want nothing to hear what you have to say, because you don't have the experience. It's really easy to throw out words and why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? We did it all. I mean, legitimately, I mean, yeah, we can go into stories and all this other stuff, but that's what we do. So there's the introduction test. Yes, I'm an artist. My wife is an amazing prepper. She's got a group that's going on. We're just trying to,
get out there and help people. And I think, I want to reiterate what Scott just said. If somebody hasn't gone through drug abuse or experienced drug abuse in their family or through someone that's close with them, and they feel like they want to give you advice, they don't really have anything to talk on. They don't know. They don't even have an inkling.
It's not like
the devastation that you're dealing with.
Yeah, it's not like the sitcoms and all the TV shows and all the other nonsense that people, think that it's all everything is going to turn out okay, and all you have to do is love them more, and all you have to do is this. It's like no, each one is independent and different.
Yes, I do agree on that, like 100%, and that's why I thought it was important to have someone on my channel that deals with the family member or friend. You
Mhm.
know, eventually, you know, I'm going to talk to someone who has been out of recovery, you know, but for me, because I have gone through, still going through this experience. It was important to me to have the same, you know, uh not individual experience, the experience with someone else also
Right.
going through it. But I just, you know, and on the side note, you guys, Scott is an amazing artist, and I just kind of gotten into your prepping, and like I'm like, I
Oh,
think it's really
thank you.
amazing. I want to hear, you know, more about that down the road. And I actually just reached out to one of my girlfriends and another couple. I was like, y'all, they have a marriage, you know, coaching group. It's super awesome. If I was married, I would be right in it too. So definitely you guys check that out. So when did you guys, it's your son, correct? That has,
Correct.
Our oldest son.
okay. And he still has his addiction problem to
No,
this day, or
no,
no?
as far as, I mean, yeah, there's all the stories. So we'll just start back into it. So I mean, we'd started seeing, you know, or getting issues at school, you know, hey, he's, you know, doing this, or he's smoking pot, or, you know, I think he's drunk. I mean, he would go to school with bottles full of vodka mixed with Gatorade. And I mean, this is stuff that we started finding out. So this was probably, and we've gone through it and we're trying to remember the timeline. It's like probably between 15 and 16 is where it's kind of started, or where we understood where it was going.
Mhm.
Right.
And then legitimately he was probably a full blown, and you know, if you talk with the addict, they're going to say, I was never addicted. I just was, you know, doing what I wanted to do. So when we started having the problem, when he started nodding out, he was he was addicted to heroin and spice and all the other bullshit. So that was about 16 years old. And we ran our own businesses. We ran our own companies. She had hers independent. I had mine independent. And I had started to know, I found out that I knew he smoked pot, and I was kind of, you know, you get upset about that.
We knew we had issues.
We knew we had issues.
We just didn't know how deep they were.
And then I started finding out, you know, then it was cocaine that, you know, we go to his place, you know, and we just had this like battle. Cops coming to our house. We followed him from a drug house. Even they followed us to the house, or followed him to the house. I mean, we lived in a very nice neighborhood. Again, all the stories that, you know, people that are around addicts we have the same stories, if not,
Right.
you know, whatever. So Anne really didn't know it because her business was really booming. And I was trying to take care of it myself as the dad, and trying to be the person. So she really didn't know about it for probably almost a year.
Oh,
And,
wow. Okay.
and when I say that she didn't know about it, she saw things that were going on, but was kind of oblivious to it. And as far as, you know, getting the nods and everything, oh, I'm just tired. It's like, I saw through the bullshit. I knew what was going on.
I just didn't have any experience with drugs. Like a
Okay.
lot of my friends did drugs, but I wasn't one of those. I just wasn't into it. And so I didn't recognize things for what they were. If somebody nodded off, I just genuinely thought they were tired.
Yeah.
So,
you know, I mean, there's multiple things that were happening. He wouldn't, you know, I was ready to just let him go. And it's, I know that we're jumping ahead. So we were battling through this. We'd have cops come to our house. We'd have, you know, accusations of Ian doing this. School, he got kicked out of school. So he went to what do you call those things?
I don't know. It was like a
extenuating school where you know, a boys' school where they
talking about.
have to wear khaki jean or khaki pants and a
Yeah.
white shirt. So all this other stuff. And then he just started just like legitimately started going off the rails.
Mhm.
Right.
So one night, Anne was kind of involved and kind of knew what was going on at that
At this
point,
point.
a little bit of that point. I'm really kind of fast forwarding a little bit.
It's a long story.
I know. I get
Yeah.
it.
So one night we went out to dinner with a couple, and my daughter calls us while we're at dinner. She goes, you know, my brother's not, I'm not going to use names. My brother is acting really, really weird. I can't wake him up.
She's probably about 7 at this point.
She was
He's
about 7.
17.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh shit, they can't wake him up. And I'm knowing what's going on. And the couple we were with kind of knew we had some issues. So we go right home.
We're only 10 minutes away.
Yeah, 10 minutes away. We go right home, and he is just passed out, like non-responsive, everything else. So I threw him in the car. I drove him to emergency room. They pumped his stomach. The doctor came back and said, are you trying to kill yourself? And he's like, no. And he had every single opioid, cocaine, heroin, everything in his body. So they pumped him out. We
Made
were
him
in,
drink liquid charcoal.
yeah, the charcoal. So basically he OD'd. We about 6 hours later, the emergency room let him go. We took him home, and we're sitting in our driveway, and Ann gets out of the truck. I get out of the truck, and and he's still in the back seat. And I'm like, I'm waiting outside. I'm like, come on, just hurry up. Let's go. Well, I waited a couple minutes. I opened the door, and he's smoking heroin in my back seat of my truck right after I took him out of the hospital. So that's when obviously we kept looking for more solutions. We talked with people, and we actually talked with this one guy that was a recovering addict, that was, I don't want to say a counselor, but someone that would helping people like that.
Dealing with kids like that all the time.
And so we went and met with him and with our son with us. And he says, he's heard our story. He goes, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do, but you're not going to do it. And we're like, no, we're the great parents. We're going to do whatever we can to champion our son and everything else. And we're going to do it all. And he looked right at us and he goes, kick his ass out and don't answer his fucking phone calls. And we're like, holy shit. How are we going to, and again, now you got mom that's just started getting involved. And it's like, no, we want to save him while I'm on the back end already trying to cover all this other stuff up. So obviously we didn't do that. The next kind of episode, there's a bunch of episodes in between. Then I had I had found out where he was at. This was, months or a couple months later. Okay. I said, hey, where are you? And he goes, I'm not coming home. I'm like, yeah, you are. He goes, and then so
he's 17 at this point.
17.
So he's still legally
ours.
Obligated. We're still legally obligated. And so is he.
Right. So I go to, so I finally found out where he's at. Well, he's at some girl's house, just drug addict house, everything else. So I call a buddy of mine who was a police officer, SWAT team. And I said, hey, I'm going to go in. I don't know what I'm going into. Can I just have you help me? Like if there's something that's going to go down, I don't want to be caught off guard. So I went with 2 rolls of quarters in my hand, and knocking on the door, and he was across the street. And unbeknownst to me, he was a sniper. So I knew he was a cop, and he was a good friend of mine. And so the guy opened the door, and I said, I need to get my son out. And he goes, no, I'm not leaving him. And then right then I saw a red dot on the guy's chest. So my friend was like, we're taking you out. And I said, look down, you need to let him go. And so I pulled him out of that drug den or whatever you want to call it. And then finally, we just came up to the decision. I had made the decision long ago that I just didn't want to deal with this anymore. In other words, I wanted to take the advice of let him go.
Yes.
Just don't do this. And at that point, then Ann came to the realization it's like, we're doing everything that we can. Like I can go through all the people that we talked to and all this other stuff. I'm just really condensing it down to the stories, So finally we just said, you're gone, get out. We can't deal with this anymore. At 17, he goes, I don't want to be here anyway. So he left. Let
me back up a little bit on this. So my epiphany came when I'm gonna have a hard time getting through it.
Okay.
Scott and Ian were in a big fight, and we had 2 other kids at home. And I walked into the kitchen.
Big breath. Okay.
I walked into the kitchen, and our 7-year-old daughter is just sobbing. And I just realized I cannot sacrifice 2 to save 1.
Yeah.
We've got to let him go. And it was really difficult. But I really wish at that point we had gone to Al-Anon and gotten more help. Yeah. But we thought we were dealing with it on our own. To get inside the mind of a drug addict is, I can't ever say I've actually been inside the mind of a drug addict, but to observe a drug addict, all they care about is the drugs.
Right.
That's all they care about.
And themselves.
They will lie. Right. They will steal. They have no empathy for people around them, what they're going through. They're only solely focused on the drugs. If their lips are moving, they're lying.
And that's the thing too.
It's horrible. And the devastation that they bring to the family is unbelievable. And we just felt so underqualified.
Yeah, the
at that
stealing.
point.
I mean, we can go, stealing
Stories and stories. And
you know,
stories.
all the, parents or people that are in this, in this space, we all have the stories, and I'm not trying to make mine any worse than anybody else, but
No, it's
everything,
horrible. Nobody wants
everything,
to brag about that.
yeah, everything is, again, the lying, the stealing, the stealing is, I mean, it just got down to where it's like, and then would go to grandparents' house and they would find out that he's stealing from there. And it's like,
Oh man.
we're done. It's like, I
horrible.
was just done.
It's I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
It's so difficult as a parent, because your whole life is about taking care of your children, making sure they're safe, helping them to grow, teaching them lessons, all these things. And there comes a point where you can't protect your child from themselves, that they're so hell-bent on getting these drugs, and that's all they care about. They don't care about the family. They don't care even about themselves. All they care about is getting high. And it's such a frustrating position to be in, where you can't protect them from themselves, because you can't be with them 24/7. And it just, it eats at everybody, and the whole family suffers.
And that's the one thing too. It's like, and I know that, from the outside, or if you're in it, and after you get past it, or while you're going through it, it's like, they don't really realize that they go, it's just affecting me. It has nothing to do with you guys.
Right.
But the thing about it is like, legitimately, there was 4 other people in the house that were either lying for him. Now back up. So like, he would hide stuff in the other kids' bedrooms. So if we found it, they would think it was their kid. It was them.
Sally wouldn't lie for him. Andrew may have.
Use names.
Oh,
So,
sorry.
that's, yeah. So, one child would get in trouble for the other child's, happenings. So now there's so much turmoil that we can't even, once again, we've got our own businesses. We've got employees. We're doing all this other stuff. And I'm not saying it's about us, but life still goes on. We can't just stop our life and say, okay,
Right.
we're going to dedicate 100%, to you so that you can get fixed. It's like, I'm fucking done. If you don't want to get fixed, go.
And that's it right there. You can send an addict to get help, right? You can spend unlimited amounts of money trying to get help for them. Send them to rehab, send them to this. If it isn't their idea, if they are not seeking rehab, you're completely wasting your time and money.
Yeah.
They're just going through the motions to get out and get back on it. I had a girlfriend whose daughter was addicted to crack, $150,000 put in her for rehabs, and she didn't, none of that helped. None of that helped. And this is crucial, because for me, this is the most difficult part, is withholding support, withholding being there for them. A drug addict has got to hit bottom
Yes.
before they will look up. And until they hit bottom, they won't look for help. So when in my instance,
there's not enough love. There's not enough
No.
love in you
No.
as a parent to give them, to make them get out of it. There's not enough love. And that's what's really interesting. I mean, if there's any parents out there that are listening, I'm going to tell you the exact same thing that the person told us that you're not going to do. And it's the hardest thing to do. If it's continuous and it's not, I'm not talking about just smoking pot. I'm talking about fading off, or
about a
drug addicted person. If it is, you need to let them go and let them find themselves. I don't care if they're 16 or 26 or 36.
Yes.
Don't answer their phone calls. Don't give them money.
Never.
I mean, legitimately.
Don't shelter them. Don't even feed them.
And
I mean, it sounds so cruel.
It's terrible.
But anytime you help a drug addict,
it's just prolonging it.
You are an enabler. You're enabling them to continue with that addiction. I know that it's coming from love. I know that you want to help this person because you love this person. You're not helping by enabling. They have got to hit bottom. And our son had a talent for hitting all new lows. And we would think this surely has got to be bottom. No, he could always go lower. And it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. And I really think that people should get to Al-Anon, get help as quickly as possible, start to understand the inside of how an addict thinks, because they don't care about themselves at that point. They only care about drugs.
Here's the other thing. And if we're talking too much to stop us, but here's the other thing too, is a drug addict is the best manipulator of a family that you will ever believe. This young human being, after we've been married for so long, like he would continue to say, why don't you just leave dad so that we can be together? meaning that he doesn't have to deal with my bullshit, my bullshit was the hammer. It's like, I'm not going to deal with this.
Right.
And then, there has to be, this is crucial. There has to be so much communication between the parents.
Right.
Like, you have to be on the same page. We were not always on the same page, but
Sure.
when it comes right down to it, it's like she said, are we going to give up 2 kids to save one?
No.
Or are we going to lose all 3 of them because of this situation?
Right.
And then are we going to lose our marriage because what she thinks is right and what I think is right? It's like, it's a mind fuck.
It's
Real,
a treacherous,
it really is. And you have to have there's a lot of bedroom talk and a lot of communication between us while all this was going on. Once she realized what was going on, and there's a lot of hard decisions to make. Anne was going to try and love him until he got out of it. I was now all of a sudden, my brain is listening to this total gangbanger that was way deep into the drugs, way deep into stealing, way deep into all this other stuff, to where it was just like, wow, he really did it. And we had one meeting with him, and our son was with us, and he talked to us quietly, or
He's talking about the gentleman that was counseling.
The guy that was counseling. I'm sorry. So he looked right at him while we were there. He goes, have you stolen from your parents? Yes. Have you gotten drunk? Yes. Have you gotten high? Yes. Have you stolen a car yet? Yes. Have you gotten a girl pregnant? No. Have you been in jail yet? No. Well, he goes, all those things are going to happen. He goes, I'm going to mark it down. And I'll tell you what, every single thing that he said happened.
Except for the pregnancy.
Well, he got married, but but he stole, we bailed his ass out of jail. I mean, it just was like time and time and time again until we finally just said, no more.
Let me step in for
Go
a
ahead.
sec. So our son's addiction was heroin. And when you're dealing with heroin is extremely dangerous, because what happens is, as they use it, it starts to build up a resistance. So
Right.
they use more, and then they use more, and then they use more. Ultimately, if heroin addiction goes unchecked, they will die. They will at some point overdose. They will be unconscious. Their respiratory system will shut down, and 9 times out of 10, they'll choke to death on their own vomit.
Right.
So when you're dealing with something like this and you understand how absolutely deadly drug addiction is, time cannot be wasted. You cannot waste time on this. You have got to batten your hatches, and
Yeah.
you have got to shut them out. And you cannot in any way support them during this period
They
of time.
have to
You
find
cannot
themselves.
Support them. They have got to hit bottom. And ultimately, when our son was kicked out, one time he was living at my office for a period of time, and then I kicked him out, and he was homeless. And he would call his brother to order him pizzas. I think he was squatting in a vacant home. I mean, this is how far he would sink down. And I think ultimately that was a thing when he realized that all support was cut off. At that point, he really had to assess his situation.
Yeah.
And you
That was a
can't help.
ramble.
Yeah.
Not really. No,
No, I
you
know.
have to cut off help.
Yeah.
Cut it off. Cut it off at the
Yeah,
pass.
I
cannot-
absolutely understand
Support
that.
it.
I mean, we found out one of our family members, started his, drinking and gambling, addiction after my dad died, which was going to be 15 years ago. He died at 42. It
Wow.
was totally tragic.
Sorry.
And we didn't know it for like a really, really long time, because they were living in a different state than we were.
Right.
And so it was really hard to know. We had another family member that knew, but I think he was too young to like
Communicate.
know what to say or how to say it or what to ask.
Right.
And then, this family member moved back home, and this is when we started seeing it, and it was really, really bad. And so, and I was not living in the same area as, my family at this time. And I was like, we have to do something. We have to do something. We have to talk to this person. We have to get him help. And so you do go through all these things when it's so new to you. Like, how do you
Right.
help this person? You don't want them to die. And, I was like, I'm going to have my own intervention. I'm going to do that. And, this person totally knew that he had these problems, and he, was just like, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop. And I'm like, but are you, like these people, if you're dealing with gambling, these people can come after your family, and we can get killed because of your decision.
Mhm.
Or, you drink so much that you totally go into toxic shock in your body and you die. And then we have to still deal with that. And I mean, this person was crying in my shoulders for like 10 minutes, after I spoke to him. And it was just, you can see how much pain that they're in. And you see how beautiful this person is too, which is so hard to see. You don't want them to not have the experience, to not, have the choice to better themselves. And you're wondering why you feel this way when you have the support of your family, or maybe this person didn't feel like that way. And so it's been, his skin color is changing, like his demeanor has changed. There's anger that's coming out of him now. But he still works extremely well. He's a very intelligent person.
Right.
And, sometimes that also triggers addiction when they're so intelligent in their minds. There's so much going on that's what they go to shut their brain off. But I think it's just so much more than that. And so I have, spoken to people at Al-Anon. I've told my, family to go to Al-Anon, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And I just don't understand. We have to come together. I've wanted to do an intervention with all of us, and it's really hard. That's the one thing that we haven't done, but pretty much for me, it was like, you guys, if I don't do something, I don't want, them to feel like we didn't try anything. And then if something, God forbidden, happens, they're going to sit there and blame themselves and be like, I wish I did this. I wish I did this. I wish I did this. Right.
Mhm.
But, I've been doing hair for 19 years, and I've always been an open book, even more so now, because speaking your truth is being vulnerable, and it's
Right.
being honest and growing, becoming to a strong, badass, free human being.
Yep.
And so I've talked to my clients. I have a lot of recovering addicts that I've talked to, and I've learned so much for them, and I've gotten to heal from that. But now, we deal like, they say that one of my friends said, well, you got to leave it alone. You can't talk to them. You can't support them. They have to hit rock bottom. And I totally understand that. And, my family can't wrap their minds around that. Especially with, there is a family member that has a really hard time not helping him out with money. And we have spoken. It's really hard because it's very defensive when you do talk to this person, because they don't want to see him on the streets. And I understand that, but you're not helping the problem.
No.
They're exacerbating the problem.
Oh gosh,
You're just extending it.
Magnifying
You're
it.
extending
Yeah.
it.
Absolutely. Like this person is
That's-
so young, and
That's
it's
their
like,
guilt. The people
Right.
that are wanting to keep it going, and unbeknownst to them, it's something within them that they just can't face. I mean,
Right.
legitimately. I mean, it's our son. It's like, okay, so now are we just shitty parents because our kids went off that? It's like, here's the way I do it too. It's like, I don't do what my mom and dad tell me. I'm sure you're old enough, you don't do what your mom and dad tell you. There's a certain point when you can't, as a parent, control your kids anymore. It's like, there's nothing more you can do. You can give them all the tools, all the support and everything else, but there comes a time when you have to take all that away from them to see what it is. You have to take away the money. You have to take away the support.
Right.
You have to take away the communication. And it's like, and I'm just saying about your situation where it's like a collective. It's the same thing with our family. It's like grandparents, we don't have a really big family. So, I mean, grandparents and stuff. I mean, here's a perfect example. I mean, we're away, and one of the grandparents is watching the kids. Ian is
Still at home at that point.
He's still at home, but the other kids are there. We get a call from his probation officer or his sponsor, and says, hey, I need you to come home right now. I'm like, they didn't know where we were at. And I'm like, no, what's going on? He goes, no, this is really bad. He goes, he's in a really bad place. I'm like, what's wrong? He goes, well, he just stabbed his drug dealer and they're after him. I said, then call the police. And I hung up the phone. It's like, I'm not going to do that shit.
No.
It's not up to me.
And at that point, we had to call the grandparents, ask them to take the
Take
kids
them out of
home to
state,
their house, out of
because-
state. So in case anybody came to our home,
Yeah.
nobody would be in danger. It's just
Wow.
sketchy. And,
Yeah.
I know reiterating back to what you were talking about gambling and alcohol. So often we don't see alcohol for the dangerous drug it is.
Right.
We just this last week lost a friend
52 years old.
52 years old, drank herself literally to death. I spoke with her husband. He said she was as yellow as Marge Simpson. Her daughter hasn't lived with her in 4 years. Her daughter's only 16. So at the age of 12, she went to live with somebody else because she couldn't take it anymore. It causes so much damage. And because it's legal, we think it's safe. It is not safe. It is not safe.
And here's a perfect example too. She had surgery, and they had put her on a donor, or not a donor list, but to receive a new liver. Like it was ready to go. All she had to do was stop drinking for 6 months. She didn't. So she couldn't even, it comes back to, it's like, I don't care how much love her husband or her family could have given her, or all the money that you give these people. It's like, all she had to do was stop, and she could live a productive life. She said, no, I don't want to do that. So you have to let them do what they want to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to live my life. This is my story. This is, my whole collective of all these stories we're doing. This is my life. It had to do with this person in it, but it is part of me. That's their life. It's like, if you were going to involve me in it, then that's going to become part of my story. And I don't care if you don't want me to talk about it. It's my story. That's it. You can tell me that I'm full of shit and that didn't happen that way, but I was the sober one in this whole thing. So I understand what happened.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I know like this, family member of mine tries to like pull away and stops, but I know it's hard for this person, and I feel for this person, and I pray for this person, and I really try to like support, the decisions of like trying to help this person see what they're doing, because they're not, this is always going to continue. Like my family member that has the addiction knows that he gets that when he needs it.
Mm-hmm.
He has said it to my face, and it sucks, because like it's like they have like a free pass to do whatever they want to continue to actually hurt us. I mean, I honestly, every day I'm like, this could be the day, this could be the day. Because alcohol just destroys your body.
Poison.
But it is poison. And when you start to see the change in their demeanor and their skin, it's just like.
So here's the question that I'll propose
all
to
the
you.
time about
here's a question I propose to people. It's like, how long are you going to give up your life to try and save theirs?
Right.
Like how long? I mean, if it's a year, if it's 10 years, if it's 20 years, I mean, if you're not going to just cut someone off right away, give yourself a date. If they don't stop or they don't do this by X date, then it's done. But and do everything you can to it. But what happens, I think, with a lot of people, your family member that supports and gives money and everything else, it's like now they are addicted as much as the person that they're helping, because they're in it. They're constantly in it. It's like, oh, the next phone call, sure, here's some more money. Now I'm in the deal with you. Now I'm getting drunk with you. Because basically you know what the money's going to. If I didn't set a date, if I didn't set a date or a time that I said I'm done and cut like completely, I would still be living it. And look I'm still living it because we're talking about it. So it's like,
oh, totally.
What they don't understand is like, it's just about me. It's my addiction. It's everything else. We still get, I mean, how crazy is it that I can go on stage and talk about it and then it just keeps going? But that's my story. That's what I'm saying. It's like, you have to, if you're not willing to stop today, give yourself a date that you're not going to enable anymore. You have to. Otherwise, you are going to live this addiction with this person continuously. Every phone call you get, you're going to worry, does he need money, or do I have to call an ambulance? Do I have to call the morgue, or am I going to go to the hospital? It's like your whole life gets wrapped up into it. And it's like, it's nonsense. And I think addicted people are weak people. I may piss a lot of people off, and it's fine with me. I think it's cowardly to bring people down with you. That's my opinion, because I've been on the other side trying to save you. That's it.
Right.
And when somebody is helping an addict, they are not helping. They are enabling.
Absolutely.
There's not even a fine line there. They are 100% enabling them to continue in their addiction. They see it as they're supporting them or trying to help them. You're not helping, you're hurting. If they run out of money to buy alcohol,
they don't drink.
and they can turn to you and get money, they're not going to take that money and go and
Well,
get a
let me say
healthy meal.
this.
They're going to buy alcohol
Well, here's the thing.
or gamble
Here's
or
the-
whatever the
Yeah,
situation.
here's the
is.
other thing too. It's like, okay, so because we would give money not knowing or everything else. And then
Sure.
when you stop, understand addicts are very, very keen.
Manipulative.
They'll just go and they'll either rob someone or they'll steal money from you. So
Right.
you're not helping. They're very
Manipulative.
very manipulative. And
Yeah.
they will find if it's important to them, they'll find a way. You don't have to be the person supporting them. And I think it's even better if they do get in trouble and they do get caught, then they go into the drunk tank or they go into the jail, and then they have to freeball it and quit it themselves.
That is literally the best thing that can
That's the
happen
best
to
thing
them
that
at
can
that
happen.
period of time.
Right.
And that's what
I know,
happened.
like my family member was in a situation where he had to, move somewhere. And I think my other family member who was like enabling was like, well, I will help you get here, but I'm done. I think, and that's the last I've heard, but I don't know, because I'm not as close with this family member anymore. Like I used to be, and that's okay.
Yeah,
just
that is
things I
okay.
just don't agree with.
Mhm.
And, and I hope that person's continued to like, say no.
I hope so too.
I hope so. I mean, that's the last that I've heard, but I know that, the manipulation, I have seen it written on the wall. And I know like when this person needs something, oh yeah, I'm going to get better. Oh yes, I'm going to do this. Oh yes, I'm going to do this. And
I'll tell you
for-
anything.
the
Yeah.
only thing that I do now as of the family member of the addiction, family member is every time we talk, I'm like, check this out. Like, and then it's out of my hands. Like I'm trying, of course, like it's never going to be something I do that he's going to like, be like, oh yes, I'm going to be sober now. It's not, but I won't ever stop. Like if, we talk, check this book out, check this podcast out, check this, documentary on Netflix, like there's been a lot of people that have gotten help from, I talked about this in my last episode with Daniel, when he came out of PTSD, he went to a therapist that helped him with hallucinogenics to get him out
Yeah.
the PTSD. And it's amazing.
Hugely helpful.
It's amazing. And so they were kind of curious when I was like, oh, look at this documentary. And they're like, oh, maybe that is the answer. But it's never going to come from what I say. And it's only going to come from them. And I feel like for me, I have completely let go. But it has to come from all of us, which is
I
really,
personally
really
don't
hard.
think in my personal opinion, I personally don't think that I could have saved him, nor do I personally take responsibility if something were to happen to him. If he were to like end up dying, I'm not going to take the responsibility of that. I've
Right.
done everything I can. We went to the end with it. And again, it's I don't pay your bills. I'm not raising you anymore. Coming from an adult, I know that it's a different situation with you, but it's like, I made up in my mind, it's like, if something were to happen bad to him, it's not my responsibility. And maybe that's a cheap way out. And I don't care what people say about it. Again, unless you're living in it, kiss my ass. I don't care. But I've made the choice. It's, and Ann would always go, but what if he's on the streets? What if he's homeless? It's like, okay, now what?
Right.
And ultimately he was.
And it does. And if we would have kept feeding him, supporting him, everything else, it was just going to take him longer. And I said it when he was younger. It's like, you're going to learn the lesson at 16, 26, 36, 46. It doesn't matter. There will be a time when you will go, oh shit, I really kind of need to do this. Or they'll get so caught up into their addiction that they'll just die. And I hate to say that, but there is a certain point where your body can't take enough.
I know.
Whether alcohol, whether drugs or anything else.
And I like live in, I
know
live
it's
in
horrible.
fear, like every day. I live in fear every single day that like I'm gonna get that phone call that he's gone, because we've already went through this with my dad. Getting that phone call is like the last phone call you ever think that you would get. but I know I'm not alone. This is what I'm here, you guys. Like, I want to save
Good.
you. I want to save whoever's listening, is that you're not alone, because I do live in fear every day. That's why it's taken me since June to talk about this, because it's so hard. I still live it. I feel like, because of what we're doing, because of what I'm trying to do here, this is what it is to heal, is to talk about it and do everything you can, but also that is part of letting go. And I have dreams about it. I have nightmares about it. But I'm also a very intuitive person, which I'm very thankful for. Like, thank you to God for sure. Like, I do have people come in my dreams and talk to me, and it might sound weird to you guys out there,
I don't
Doesn't sound
know.
weird at all.
you know, and it's a really beautiful thing. But I also see like bad things too. And, you know, so I have to deal with that. And it's just, it's very hard. It's a weight on your shoulders. But I will tell you, you know, the minute I like let go and I just pray, that's the only thing you can do. You let go, but you can still send them love energetically. You can
Yeah.
pray for them.
I think from a standpoint, if there's addicts that are listening, if there's addicts that are listening out there, you know, there will be a point when love won't keep you going, because the people that love you are going to get tired of it. The people that love you are going to have an epiphany. They're going to have an end date. And again, some people's fuse is short, some people's fuse is long. But understand, if you are an addict, the love that you're getting right now, it will stop. I mean, and it sounds so bad, but like coming from
Oh, shoot. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. I'm just going to pause this, guys, for just a second. Sorry about that, you guys.
No
Technology.
worries.
We
No
love
worries.
you. We're back.
When you're dealing with an addict, you are dealing with a void. There is not enough love in this world. There is not enough money in this world. There is not enough to throw into it. The more you throw in, the faster everything just disappears, right? And the worse they get, because now they've got the money, the means to get what they need and to keep doing what they're doing.
Right.
So that's why it's kind of like a blood supply to cancerous tumor. You want to cut off the blood supply to the cancerous tumor. And that's how the cancer dies and goes away. It's the same with addiction. You've got to cut off the support to that addiction for it to die and go away. Now, that's not the only way it's going to do it. But it's a mean to help them hit bottom.
Right.
They've got to hit that point where they're like, I can't do this anymore. I need help.
Right.
Anything leading up to that, they're not going to change.
Right.
They have got to hit bottom. If they don't hit bottom, they'll never get help. If they continue to get support, they don't need to do anything else. They don't need to change because they're getting support.
Right. 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 I don't know where you guys went.
Sometimes going into homelessness or getting into jail or some of these things are the best thing that can happen.
Right.
Yeah, you'll never get into the mind of an addict, because addicts can't get into my mind. I can't get into your mind.
We all have to go into that mind.
We all have a certain point of why we, you know, I don't even want to get into the fact, why did he start doing drugs? It's like, I don't know. Whatever, you know, I can tell you his upbringing and everything else. Some people just do. Some people can, it's the same thing. Some people can go and have a drink every Friday night and Saturday with people, and then not drink the whole rest of the time. Some people can go out and smoke pot or do whatever they do, you know, once in a while, but there's others that just can't. And I don't want to, you know, obviously I'm old enough and I've had drinks and I've had all the other stuff, but it's just a matter of like, you don't know, is that going to be, you know, the one that you're the one? I mean, that's up to you. And again, I think that if he started very, very young, you know, we were in an affluent area. So there was a lot of, you know, parents that weren't home, whereas we were always home. So, you know, I think that, how do I say it? I think in that particular sense, we were in an affluent neighborhood or area that parents really just didn't care what the kids did and say, just go here. So they'd go to a party and do all this stuff. Well, we were present and he was still doing that stuff. So
here's what happened is, and this was very prevalent in our area. We weren't the only family that was going through this. It was actually, there was 2 high schools where there was a lot of money going into these high schools. The parents were affluent. They were just money neighborhoods, right? It started with the kids getting into their parents' medicine cabinets. And they would take Oxycontin or Loratabs or whatever
That's what it was.
painkillers or whatever was going on in that medicine cabinet. That was the first sign that something was wrong. Everything started to disappear. A lot of these kids got addicted to Oxycontin. Well, Oxycontin at that point was like $40 a pill. So then they went to heroin because heroin
$5 a
was like
pill.
$5 a hit, right?
Right.
And
This is all stuff that we learned.
yeah,
It's
this
not
is
stuff
what
that we
happened.
knew.
And this was
Right.
raging. I mean, I can remember going out to dinner one night and one of his friends was at the same place we were eating and he's nodding off on it. He was just high as a kite and it was happening all over the
Yeah.
place. And that's how it starts. It starts with well, I believe it starts with alcohol, goes to pot, goes to the medicine cabinet, and then
Yeah.
gets worse from there. And again, once they are in an addiction, the only thing they care about is themselves and that addiction.
Yeah.
That is all. I don't care what you're doing for them. They don't love you back. They don't care about you. They're obsessed with getting their hands on whatever they're addicted to. And that's their only mindset at that point.
Yeah. And
And
it's
they will
scary.
do anything to get it.
It's scary, you know, like even the drugs today, like I can't even, you know,
Ugh.
it's so bad in our country right now, especially what happened to our, even in our pandemic, you know, it's just like, there's so much more people that are addicted out there. And it's like, that's why I want to help even more. That's why you guys want to help even
Right.
more. But it's like, now I just got, you know, I read this news article. I don't ever watch the news because I don't believe in it.
Demoralizing.
But, you know, this is probably happening everywhere, but I know it's happening in California. I told my girlfriends, I was like, look, you guys, they are making multicolored drugs that look like Smarties that are fentanyl. And, you know, and you're just like, what kind of drug dealer wants to kill kids? You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Right.
have we gone that low? You know, it looks like Smarties.
Like the candy.
And it's so unbelievably sad, like how close addiction is to so many more people now and how much stronger things are.
And
you
how
know?
much more lethal.
It's
It's lethal. Like you just can't get past it. It's not like you can take fentanyl today and then gradually take another fentanyl. That one fentanyl is enough to kill a person.
Oops.
And that's
right.
what's so terrifying. And you know,
Yeah.
I saw a video of a police officer. They had opened something and there was fentanyl and just the breeze blew it into his nostrils and immediately he went down. And his
Oh, wow.
partner's like trying to say it's that quick. It's so deadly, so scary. It's terrifying time. It's terrifying. And kids are dropping all over the place with this stuff and adults.
Yeah, it's really, really sad. And, you know, I don't even know if my family member has even gotten into drugs. I don't think
No.
so. I don't know a lot of drug addicts, but I definitely do know some people. I used to work with a person that, you know, she was like incredible. And all of a sudden we started seeing all these weird things and like her eyes would like roll in the back of her head. And, you know, we had to obviously let her go because like, I mean, she was waxing people's eyebrows off and you're just like, you know, and, you know, I believe she's gotten help to this day, which is amazing. But, so, you know, you get to know these signs like a little bit, but it's just like, it's right there, you know, I mean, and like, how is all this stuff getting to these kids? Like, I mean, when your kids are in school, you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's happening, you know, like when they're children, they get judged and they get like bullied. And so that's like the easy way for them to be like, oh, do this. And, you know, you're going to be fine. They get bullied into those kinds of things. So I think it's, you know, I'm not a parent. I really, you know, I wanted kids, but that's just not how my story has been. But, you know, it's like the parents out there are freaking superheroes because they've lived through this pandemic. They're living with all these new drugs popping up everywhere, you know, especially when you go up into the Bay Area, there's like needles everywhere. Eric Spockert talked about this. Someone asked him, you know, what he thought about like, the handouts of clean needles. And he was like, remember when he was like 50-50 about that? And like, I get the idea that they're doing it clean, but like, and then they have trash cans. Like they literally put up trash cans in San Francisco for these guys to put their needles in the trash can. I'm sorry, if someone's going to shoot up, are they going to remember to put it in the trash?
Here's the thing about
I don't
that.
We're feeding into it. Our country is feeding into it.
My
Like,
my opinion on it is the country is feeding into it because there's money involved. And if you can keep addicts, if you can keep an addict, you're going to keep all the mental hospitals open. You're going to keep all the methadone clinics open that's run actually by the government. The methadone clinics, you're talking about PTSD. They're doing major studies on psilocybin for PTSD and to get off of the methadone, because methadone is just a synthetic heroin is all it is. That's all it is. So you say, oh, I'm not doing heroin anymore, I'm doing methadone. Bullshit. You're doing heroin. You're still addicted to it. You know, I'm all about plant medicine and Eastern medicine. I'm totally all about that and doing more research on that. I have no problem with plant medicine, absolutely none. If it's whether it's psilocybin or even marijuana, I have no. That's not it.
At a certain age.
At a certain age, but the thing about it is that there's money involved in addicts and people that are down. There's so much money into it, so they're never going to fix it. They're always going to just keep putting more money into it so they get more back. If San Francisco says we have a drug addict problem, we're going to keep feeding them. The government's going to give them money to go and help these people more. That's the last thing that they need. They need to cut everything off and say, you know, we will put you in a hospital for 3 days. You get one chance at it. Here's a crazy, and now I'm going to get kind of like political on my side. I think every drug should be absolutely legal. I think every single heroin, methadone, every single drug out there should be legal. Cocaine, whatever you want. You know why? Because I have the choice to take it or not. And I understand that they're going to say there's people, well, there's some people that can't do it. You know what? I'm not responsible for that person. The thing about it is legalize every drug, but also if you OD, if you decide that you're going to become an addict, everything else, I ain't paying for you. You don't get anything from it. So I think if you leave, alcohol is legal. Alcohol is one of the main killers, and we have that legal. Why is that okay? Why is that?
Well,
but you're going to take. But you're going to take. Yeah, you're going
to the liquor stores open.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you can go to a restaurant and then walk around with your drink, or like pick up your food with a drink and go driving.
Right.
I mean,
right. I think the government loves that fentanyl is the new drug out there, because now they can put more money and research into it, because they can start doing tests and they can do, which is all bullshit. I know. I'm sorry.
I agree, because, you know, the one thing that has lacked in this country, which I talked about when I was online with Nick Hoff, and, you know, I was like, they keep taking away mental health institutes. And this is like such a huge issue I have. You know, I always say when I make $1 million and it keeps coming in, I'm going to open up mental health institutes, because I'm so passionate about it. Because there's no way that these people are getting the correct help, is because the money, if you follow the money, it goes all into the pharmaceutical companies. You know, they want you to be addicted. They want you to be addicted to this and all this stuff. And it's just a circulation of this money growing right in front of you that you're not looking at. And I had a friend that had to go to a mental health institute in a very, very bougie area. And when this person went in there was dried vomit on the bed. There was dried vomit on the ground. There was dust everywhere. This person felt better because, you know, they gave her something to relax, but that's the situation she's in. And that's the situation of these mental health, you know, institutes now. I've had clients that have worked in these mental health institutes, and 99% of the time, the other people working in there are addicted to something too. They are beating them up. They're taking their drugs. They're getting high when they're looking after these people. It's not a good situation. Right. And I don't even know if I'm going to live the day to see that all this is going to change. And like, our country actually lives to care about each other and love each other and help each other. You know, I don't know if I'm going to see that, you know. It's horrible. It's so horrible. And it's like, you see all these celebrities talking about mental health and yeah, that's amazing. But what's happening? What is our country doing about it? You know? And that's why I was listening to some guy speak on Instagram yesterday. It's like, you know, that people talk about how they want change. Well, if you want change, you got to make a lot of money, and you got to make the difference, because it takes money to do that change, unfortunately. Right. but in meantime, all these people are suffering. It's so hard for them to get help, and it's so expensive,
Right. Well, and I
you
think a lot
know?
of people transition into drug addiction trying to medicate themselves. It's
Yeah,
not like they start drugs intending to be a drug addict. Nobody wants to be a drug addict, right? But maybe they're suffering from extreme anxiety or whatever their situation is. So the drugs help, right? They take the edge off. They start
absolutely.
self-medicating and then they fall into addiction.
Right.
And then it just goes south from there. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's unfortunate that people can't get the help they need for mental health, emotional issues.
Right.
It's sad.
It's so sad. I talk about this almost a couple of times. You guys are so cute. I really pray that like I get to be in a relationship where my person will be sitting here next to me someday. I know it'll happen. But it's beautiful. You guys are beautiful. I just want to side note.
Mhm.
But it's almost to the point where, when these people, like, especially when they want to go get help, like they can't afford it, or they're like afraid to like lose their job.
Right.
Oh, what if they lose their job because they have to do this? I feel like companies need to step up the game. If they have an employee that works really hard, does really, really good at what they do, well, we're going to give you a month, 2 months, 3 months, and you're going to be able to come back, and we're going to help support you instead of judging you and saying, oh, bye, you can't work for me anymore.
Right.
So there's a lot of places and areas where, things need to step up, like in the world, or first of all, our country. And I really hope to see that day, because it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse before
Really
it gets
easy
better.
to stigmatize a drug addict. Like I was reading something, I think it was on Facebook or something, and somebody said, oh, now they want to just have Narcan out there for people that have overdoses. And they were super indignant about it. It's like every drug addict has a family.
Yeah.
And every drug addict has people that care about them. And just because they're addicted doesn't mean that they cease to matter. We still want them to get help. We still want them to get off the drugs. We want them to do it. Again, you can't enable them because they've got to hit bottom and they have to want to get better.
That's a good point. That's a good point too. It's like, yeah, there's, you still want, when we kicked him out and we did all this stuff, it's like, we still had love. We still had love if he came back, if he was ready to come back.
Absolutely.
We're looking for it. But understand, the thing about it is we've heard so much bullshit come from their mouths that it takes a long time. And they don't, sometimes, I mean, he didn't realize how long it was going to take. It's almost like you're testing them when they come back and they don't want to be tested. It's like, well, I've told you I'm not doing this anymore. You should believe me. You should trust me. It's like, the addict really has to understand I don't want to say penance to pay, but you have to understand that you weren't, all mentally there while you were a drug addict, that we were there for.
Well, they burn a lot of bridges.
Oh,
and it takes a lot of time for those bridges to be rebuilt. If they're ever rebuilt.
if they're ever
rebuilt. In some instances, those bridges never get rebuilt because the damage is so extreme.
Yeah.
And every aspect of trust will be violated during that process. Everything. They will lie to you. If their lips are moving, they're lying.
Yeah.
It's just, it's unbelievable. And
Yeah.
and sometimes, people get better, but until you really go back and you express your remorse to the people that you hurt, I don't really see how you're going to fully heal.
I think that the one thing is, you hear the 12-step program and everything else. And again, we were never part of Al-Anon and all this other stuff, but we were watching,
should have been.
we were watching as he was going to the 12-step program and stuff. And there comes a point, it's like, if they're really for sure and they really want to do it, if they make a commitment to that. And it just comes down to, it's like, this is the way that we're judging how you're doing it. Either you do it or you don't. And it's like, it's a very simple, quote unquote, simple program to follow, but there's a lot of things that an addict won't do in there. And that's when you kind of know where the rubber meets the road.
It tells you a lot.
It tells you a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And so today, where's your son today? Like, and how have you continued to like process, heal, build a bridge?
There has been, I would say, irreparable damage done. It's not that we won't forgive him.
Yeah.
He has projected and deflected it onto us now.
Yeah.
And there really isn't a relationship there. He's not 100% clean. He's not dabbling in the things that he was addicted to.
That we know. Here's the deal.
That we know.
We know. We don't.
The last time we were around him, he was still drinking. He was still smoking pot. So not 100% sober, but yeah, there's just, I don't know if there'll ever be a relationship there again.
Yeah.
Quite honestly. And it's not that we're sitting here harboring all this ill will and stuff, but he's very abusive with us and we're not going to tolerate it. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, there comes a point too. It's like, you know, I think just for our situation, there was something that switched in him that now all of a sudden it was our fault.
Yep.
It's our fault that this is going on and everything else. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't care. It sounds so cold-hearted, and if people know me, and I truly want to give more than I take. I really want to do that. And from the standpoint for me, it's like, it's fine. If you don't want a relationship with, it's okay. It's not,
okay.
It's, again, I'm living my life, you're living your life. I've loved you. We've raised you. We've done everything else. I mean, the stories that we've gone through with you, and you want to be mad at me because of something that I did, you know, 10 years ago. It's like,
let me, this is what I did because you at point will reach bottom too in dealing with a drug addict, right? Everybody's going to have to reach a bottom before they take those changes that they need. And at one point I just gave it to God. And every single time that he would pop into my mind, or I would worry about him, or I'd be concerned about him, I would pray about it. And it was seriously, shortly after that, he got help.
Yeah.
Give it to God.
It is really, really the best kind of advice also to give to somebody. I mean, I don't know if you guys like watched my episode 1 when I tell my story, but like I was brought up like super Christian. I love going to youth group. There was a time where, you know, I was in a relationship for 2 years with the love of my life at that time. And I thought I had a relationship with my mom to like tell her that I wasn't a virgin anymore. And she decided to put it in the big letter with my name in the church. And so everyone, when I went back to youth group, nobody talked to me, including the youth pastor. And you would think that I would have a turning point and be like, well, F you, God, I don't want anything to do with this. I went again, still no one talked to me. Years later, I was working in a flower shop. I used to design flowers. And my youth pastor comes in and I was like, what's up, Jason? And he turns around and he walks out of the flower shop.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. And so I've always been like,
on them.
yeah, I've always been like very, very spiritual. My mom, you know, kind of abuses the Christian and God and all that stuff. So it was really hard for me to say that I believed in God until Lions Den Live, especially when like Garrett White came on stage and then everybody else came on stage and they were like, they all have put their knee down to God. And so I was like, okay. For a while, it was hard for me to say like, I believe in God, you know, but like the minute I did that, you know, my life has changed and I've been able to let go of even more to God because I feel him right here all the time. I have felt him all week, you guys, especially reaching out to you and just like, you know, being brave to come on here today. And I was like, literally, thank God. And so, of course, like, we're not telling you guys, the audience, you know, that you guys have to believe in God right now. You do whatever you want, believe in something bigger than you, if that's what it takes. But, you know, when you really put your knee down to somebody else, you can let go even more.
Right.
That's a very, very good tip.
I totally love God. I hate church.
Oh, me too. I mean, I went to church a couple of years ago. I have a friend that, you know, that's what she wanted to do for her birthday. There was 10 of us that went. And this pastor said, I'm not kidding. All of you guys out here in the audience right now, I hope you guys are only friends with Christians. You should only be friends with Christians and nobody else. And I was like, are you serious? The time I go to church and we all talked about it. And the other person that wanted to go was so in denial. That's not what he said. And we were like, yes, it is. So I'm just like, you know what? I don't need to go to church. I go outside. I look at the beautiful mountains and the trees and water and animals, you know, like God is right there. I will hug trees. I've done it, you know.
Jesus hung out with sinners. Jesus hung out with sinners because that's what the need was, right? So Jesus wasn't hanging out with the rabbis and all the people that he was hanging out with the everyday people, with the sinners, because he loved them, wanted to show them love, and wanted to show them the light and the way. And we can find that without judgmental pastors or other Christians. I've been there. We've experienced judgment. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's so counterproductive to the Christian message in my heart.
It
in
really
my-
is. I mean, I know there's not every single church in this world or country is not like that, of course,
Right.
you know, but they're very hard to find.
Yeah.
That's why it's always funny when Sean's like, I'm going to open my own church. I'm like, yeah, do it. You know, but it has been such a blessing, you know, to have like God really, really back in my life, like to the full capacity. And I don't know, like, you know, with my siblings, I'm the oldest of 5. I don't know how they feel about it because they saw how traumatized we were by the things that my mom did to me or them. Where it's like, well, why would I want to believe in that? That's the you know, the project of someone believing in God. That's what we're looking at. That's what's going to happen to us, you know. And so I don't know, you know, where they are fully at in their minds. You know, we talk about it, and I think they all kind of are traumatized by it, but you know,
Well,
I
it's just like, it's
but
just
you
like drugs. It's
yeah,
just like,
totally.
it's just like drugs. We all choose what we want to choose.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But I think, you know, in recovery, for anyone out there listening, like it is something very, very powerful that you are capable
Mhm.
of choosing to have God in your heart. Or if you need to say someone bigger than you, like whatever that is, like do it, and like have that help of them putting you in that path and leading you into that path of love and light and being successful in your recovery. Because, you know, for if, like I said, if anyone out there is an addict right now, like, you know, you are hurting your family, you know, you are hurting us, and we love you and we care about you, but you have to want to help yourself. And you have that choice. You have that choice every day. You have that choice by minute.
Mhm.
It's up to you, you know.
100%.
And I
So
think sometimes, I mean, just to get into the spiritual aspect of it, addiction is a spirit. You know how they talk about alcohol as spirits. There's a spiritual element to it. And we in the world don't want to acknowledge these things, but there are battles going on behind the veil that we can't see. There is such a thing as spiritual warfare. And when somebody is addicted, to me, it's a very spiritual thing, and it's a bad thing. And God can take you out of that. God can deliver us from anything. And so if someone can get to the point where they've hit bottom so big and they look up at God and they ask for help, I think that help is forthcoming. Is it an instant cure? No. God doesn't work in those ways. If we pray for strength, God gives us adversity. So, but God will come alongside people and help them. And I couldn't have gotten through it without God. Absolutely. There's no way.
yeah, that's beautiful. And, you know, I mean, you guys are really, really brave to like witness what you saw, especially when it's your own child. I can't even imagine, you know, I can't even imagine. And to be where you guys are at today, and the power you have for each other, your family, and then, you know, with all the coaching groups and art that you guys do, you're putting more love and showing that through who you guys are. And it's really, really beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks. We just
Appreciate
have the
that.
passion to help people.
Yeah. We're out to do what we can for, I mean,
Whoever we can.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
not, we got some miles on us, so it's all good.
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah. Super. So anything else you want us to tell you or yell at you or what?
I don't want to yell at you.
I know, right? I mean, it's really intense. This topic is very, very, very,
Very intense,
Sure.
but
personal.
look how
topic.
beautiful we ended it, you
Yeah,
know, with
that's a good point.
spirituality. And we all started to relax. Did you notice that?
I did.
Y'all were like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
we're like all up in here. And then we're all,
No. Yeah.
but I think, you know, I think we covered a lot. You know, you guys in the audience, please comment if you have any questions. If you want to know what Al-Anon is, like as family members, as friends, like Al-Anon is really great. They are amazing people. They walk you through every step of the way. So please reach out to Al-Anon. There's Al-Anon in every county, I believe. But just start asking questions, you guys. Like, I mean, it definitely, once you start opening up and asking, you will start to heal too, and you will be stronger with letting go and letting that person they have to figure it out on their own, that they want to get help.
That's the
So
key.
reach out. Yeah. So reach out to any of us. You can find
sure.
both of them on Instagram at I am Scott Travis or I am Ann Travis.
Yep.
And of course, on my Instagram is Free Lady CO, just right on here on YouTube. But reach out if you guys have more questions. Please
100%.
reach out to any of us.
And just one final thing, you know, when you're dealing with alcoholism or drug addiction, you're dealing with an illness. And we
Yeah.
aren't qualified if we haven't dealt with that on how to really effectively help somebody. So that's why it's so important that you reach out and get help. Reach out for the help of a professional. Al-Anon, that's what they do. They know what they're doing. Alcoholics Anonymous, all these things can help you. It's just another tool in your toolbox, because we don't know what we're dealing with when we first get into these things with addiction and alcoholism. And sometimes it's best to just reach out and get some help.
Absolutely. And it helps you understand. It helps you train your brain on what to say. Am I enabling them? Am I not enabling them? You
Right.
know, like what direction do I go with myself to help that
Mhm.
person, you know?
Right.
So I really, I can't, I mean, I feel the nerves still in my body. Just
We're just normal people.
We're just people.
We're just
know.
normal.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Yeah, we're good. Just
truly.
goofballs.
Oh, yeah, thank you. You know, I mean, I told my aunt, I was like, I feel like I'm gonna throw up right now.
Well, I hope you don't
Please
feel like
don't throw
I
up.
feel like I hope you don't feel like you still need to throw up, because we're just
No.
chill. We're totally chill.
No, I felt like, you know, again, like I said in the beginning, I knew when I prayed about it and I remembered talking to you guys, I was like, they're my support. And you guys, first of all, I just want to say, like, I met them one time. Okay. You know, so we're a part of Lions Den, or a part of the coaching group with Sean Whalen, just like my last interview with Daniel. Again, you don't have to become a part of this group, but it has changed all of our lives, and we've all become family members now.
Mhm.
So,
Sure.
you know, all of us in here want to help you, like, and it's amazing the connections that, like, that was the biggest thing for me at Lions Den Live. I was like, the connections, and I was like, oh, this is my family too.
Yeah, 100%. Amazing, amazing people.
This is my house.
Just
Yeah.
been blessed with so many friendships.
blessed.
Yeah.
And then, like, even doing this on here, like I've you guys are my fourth interview. And
Cool.
like now I have all these like really deep connections like with them and yourselves. And I, you know, I hope that continues. And I feel so blessed. I feel like
Good.
when I reached out, I was like, I know they're gonna support me. The only thing that
100%.
they could do is say no. And
But yeah,
We wouldn't do that.
I'm
no.
so appreciative.
Thank you for thinking of us.
Absolutely.
We're
Absolutely.
appreciative. We just want to get the message out to people.
Yeah.
We want to help people. It's such a brutal thing to go through. It's
Yeah.
It's
It really,
it's
really
crazy.
It is
But
crazy.
it puts a few gray hairs on you, but that's okay. It's all good. We're
Well,
happy.
thankfully, you know, we can color them
Yeah. Yeah.
or put dreads.
Beautiful.
Well, yeah, our dreads. Yeah, exactly.
So
Brittany, we appreciate you and thank you for
Yes,
inviting us.
fabulous.
And if
Thank
you need
you.
anything, just reach out.
okay. I really appreciate you guys too. I love you guys so much. And just thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Got it.
Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
God
Thank
bless.
you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right,
Okay.
guys. Have a good
Thank
rest
you.
of your day. Thank you for taking the time. Okay.
You got it,
Have a
hon.
great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.